Here we go. I do not feel good today. I definitely caught a cold. It's just been getting worse over the last couple of days, and today is probably the worst so far. I have a couple of on-site interviews though, so I have to go into the office. No Friday night activities for me this week for sure. Come home, get some rest, I think. Alright, I'll see you at the office. It's like, boom, now we're at the office. Going to get lunch. And we lost multiple hours of the day.
That's like the shortest vlog ever. I felt horrible that day. So after lunchtime, I didn't record anything else. So now I'm sitting here editing this video and I'm like, what is this video about? I was thinking I could talk about altitude sickness at Mount Whitney. It's something I did a video on. You can check that video out here. And it hinted at and showed some of the effects of altitude sickness, but I've never actually talked about it. It's honestly kind of difficult footage to go through for me. So I start out at the bottom of the mountain, very excited. As you can imagine, climbing Mount Whitney is going to be a huge accomplishment for me. I've been preparing for this trip for 6 months. So a few miles in, you can see how tiring just the climb is. It's a very steep climb. I'm not feeling the effects of altitude sickness here, definitely the altitude.
Hope you can see that. This is well worth it.
That place was amazing. That meadow there was just incredible. That's where we ended up eating lunch, and that was the last place I felt okay. After that lunch and after that spot, it changes, and you'll notice I have no video from the rest of that climb.
Oh, I made it to trail camp. That was a tough climb.
By the time we got to trail camp, I was feeling rough. Got a little bit of nausea on the way up. It was really starting to get a pretty significant headache. For any of you that know altitude sickness, those are the classic signs. I wasn't quite aware of this yet.
We're supposed to climb tomorrow. That was worse than today. My end of day self is saying, there's no way. But we'll see what tomorrow brings.
So we were planning on going up what's called the chute, which is that little bit of snow that I just pointed at there. And that is crazy steep. You don't realize it until you get there and you look up at it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, everything on me hurts. This was, to date, the hardest thing I've done. There's no way I'm climbing that.
So the sun went down. It's now freezing. I'm about 90% sure I have altitude sickness, and I will not be summiting.
Something you didn't get to see here is when I realized I had altitude sickness. So I showed in my original video me setting up my time lapse of me setting up my tent. What I didn't point out in that video is that single person freestanding tent took me over 45 minutes to set up. That tent should take me 5 minutes to set up. It was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. So like the level of exhaustion I can't even describe. I've never felt that exhausted before in my life. I walked over to where Aaron was, which is maybe 100, 200 feet away. And I was starting to set up my stove to cook my mac and cheese. And I just had this realization, like, none of what I'm doing here should be this hard. So I was sitting there talking with Rita and Aaron, and I'm like, does anyone know the signs of altitude sickness? Turns out it's headache, it's nausea, it's dizziness, and fatigue. I'm like, oh crap, I have altitude sickness. The other piece of information that I had here is I knew that altitude sickness could lead into some really scary, dangerous stuff. It can lead into HAPE, which is when your lungs suddenly fill with fluid, or it can lead into HACE, which is when your brain fills with fluid. Both of those can kill you within hours. So I was honestly terrified. We had talked about going down the mountain. At this point in time, though, it's getting cold, which means the snow and ice is freezing back up. So going down is actually actually reasonably dangerous. So we had this decision to make, like, do we stay? Do we go back down? So what we decided to do is we decided to stay. We figured if I got any worse, I'd let one of them know, we'll head down. If not, they'd check in on me in the morning and see if I'm up to it or not.
Yeah, we're just trying to feel it out right now. Going down right now. Doesn't seem like a good idea. Starting to feel a little better, I think. So I think we're gonna sleep it out through the night and hang out here while they try and summit tomorrow. Better luck next time, I guess.
My soul was like crushed there. This is probably one of the hardest parts for me to watch. While I was recording this video, it was my realization of like, I'm not gonna make it to the summit. I've pushed all this way, I've come through all this stuff, but I had one singular goal, and that was to make it to the summit. And that was not gonna happen.
That's it, I'm officially not gonna summit.
So when I woke up in the morning, I still wasn't feeling good. Everything was hard. I didn't sleep at all, but I was comfortable laying there in my tent, so nothing serious was going on. I felt like I could hang out there. So Rita and Aaron got an early start, took off up the mountain, and I just wasted time around camp all day. It was pretty boring.
They're walking up now and have officially summited Whitney, which is not something I can say for myself.
Finally seeing Aaron and Rita coming down the mountain, I was done. I was ready to get out of there. That was amazing. I was starting to get a little anxious about how long they were taking.
Packed up now. We're gonna head down the mountain finally. I can start feeling better.
I mean, you can see how excited I am to finally get off this mountain. I feel horrible. By this point in time, my headache was gone. I'm sore and I'm just like tired of being there, honestly. So I'm so excited to get home at this point that I don't even think I recorded anything else the whole way down or the whole way home.
Okay, we made it home. Going to see the family.
Yeah, the next thing you see is me at my house going inside. I'm 100% better the second we hit that meadow that we saw on the way up that I said this is the last time you see me okay. Once we hit that, I was golden. I was entirely good to go again. Altitude sickness was such a weird experience. I guess maybe I'm glad I got to experience it at some point. I'm also glad that the single thing I was most scared of on this trip is the thing that got me. I don't ever want to experience it again, so I'm gonna try everything that I possibly can to avoid it the next time. And I'll tell you that there will be a next time. We'll be entering the lottery this year to try and summit Mount Whitney next year. If you find this sort of stuff interesting, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm really trying to do a little bit more thoughtful content. I know a lot of these past vlogs have kind of just been like a bunch of like follow me around through the day sort of stuff. And I hope this was interesting. And I will see you guys in the next vlog.